Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, voice you know with the news you trust studio, sponsored by BASF, where you can count on the trusted performance of Alevos seed treatment to protect your soybean crop. I'm Allison Kinney. Now let's take a look at what's making agricultural news. A new USDA labeling rule takes effect January 1, tightening standards for when meat, poultry, and egg products may be identified as a product of the United States. Under the regulation, finalized in March of 2024, companies may use labels such as Product of USA or Made in the USA only if the animals were born, raised, slaughtered, and processed in the United States. Meat from animals imported live for feeding or processing no longer qualifies. Products that are minimally processed may use qualified claims such as noting they were sliced or packaged domestically using imported meat. The rule does not require companies to use U.S. origin labels, but any firm that does must maintain records supporting the claim. USDA will generically approve labels without additional verification programs. The regulation applies only to domestic sales, not exports. Critics warn that it would strain trade ties, particularly in Canada and Mexico, and discourage the import of live animals. Also making headlines, congressional Republicans plan to revive stalled farm bill negotiations in January after failing to pass a new measure by the year's end, extending uncertainty for farmers facing high cost, inflation, and trade disruptions. House Agriculture Committee Chairman G.T. Thompson said he hopes to schedule a committee markup ahead of the January 30th funding deadline, though he acknowledged it may be difficult to attach the bill to must-pass spending legislation. The delay means Congress will enter a third year without updating major agricultural policy. Lawmakers remain divided over whether a traditional 5-year farm bill is still achievable. Thompson and Senate Agriculture Chairman John Boozman said progress remains possible, even in an election year, but some policy experts are skeptical, noting recent budget legislation sharply expanded farm subsidies while cutting food assistance, weakening the long-standing political link between the two. Congress extended the 2018 Farm Bill for another year in December, giving the lawmakers until September 30th of 2026 to enact a replacement. Now to Ty Higgins on a recap of our most recent podcast.
Episode 423 of the Ohio AgNet podcast is now online at ohioagnet.com. Our farewell to Dale Minyo. He's retiring at the end of the year, and he shares some of his memorable moments and the reason he's been doing this for the past 30 years.
The world's run by those that show up. Thank you for showing up. I sincerely mean that. I started the first broadcast after Ed's passing was thanks for joining us. And I've meant that every day ever since on every broadcast. As part of our opening now, it's important that we recognize you're out there and need information, and we try to serve it to you in the best and sometimes entertaining way that we can.
Also on the podcast, I talk with Dr. Leah Dorman. She is part of the newly created Protect Ohio initiative to get more youth involved in veterinary medicine.
I think part of my role is to be able to offer some opportunities that maybe didn't exist when I was in their shoes. And that's really part of what Protect Ohio is about, is that collectively Protect Ohio can offer some of those opportunities, scholarships, which is one of the things that we've already done, is we've been able to offer some scholarships to students who are interested in going back to a rural community in Ohio and who are interested in large animal medicine to alleviate that college debt load once they come out. That's huge, because when you don't have quite that big payment coming out, you can potentially look at that as an option that maybe they wouldn't otherwise be able to do.
Then Joel Panorwood visits with Dr. Margaret Judlowski about the future of labor in agriculture and how H-2A needs to be a big part of the policy conversation moving forward.
There's a lot of different answers. I think recognizing the fact that there needs to be some sort of policy for agriculture that makes sense. It's an industry that matters hugely for the future of our country. It mattered hugely in the history of our country. And in order for it to continue to have that role, food production is going to happen somewhere, regardless of whether that's happening in other countries where they have a more flexible labor market policy, or if it's happening here, it's going to happen somewhere. And if we want it to keep happening here, there just needs to be a realistic labor market solution.
That's all on the brand new Ohio AgNet podcast, the audio and video versions online at ohioagnet.com. I'm Ty Higgins reporting.
Thanks, Ty. Now let's take a look at the markets. Brought to you by Seed Consultants, simply better performance. Learn more online at seedconsultants.com. March corn closing in today up a half at 447.5. May corn is up 1 at 455.5. July corn is up 1 as well at 461. January soybeans are down 1 3/4 at 1051.5. March soybeans are down 1 1/4 at 1063 3/4. July wheat is up 1 1/4 at 538.5. September wheat is up 1 1/2 at 552. Now looking to livestock, December live cattle is down 190 at 228.82. February live cattle down 142 at 230. February lean hogs is up 62 cents at 85.97, and March feeder cattle are down 150 at 339. Thanks for joining us. You're listening to the Ohio AgNet.